Up next, join us for an exciting conversation with Smbat Rafayelyan, founder and CEO of Bioneex. Bioneex is a platform which connects drug discovery with potential future partners and financial investors by way of AI and multiple data sources. Join me next. Hello and welcome to Biotech Bites. I'm your host, Steve Swan. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by Smbat Rafayelyan, the founder and CEO of Bioneex. Smbat, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Steve. Thank you. Thank you for hosting me today in your show.
Sure thing. And we're going to discuss Smbat's new platform that he founded. And as a reminder to all our listeners, if you enjoy what you see here today, don't forget to like us and follow us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. All right, great. So, Smbat, tell me a little bit about, we'll get into your platform in a minute, Bioneex, but give me a little bit of your background to get our listeners familiar with you and who you are and how you got to today, got to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. Thank you very much again for hosting me today in your show. It's a great pleasure to talk to your audience and tell about myself and our platform particularly. So I'm coming actually from big pharma background, but I did my MD and PhD from my research times. I was already working with one of the blockbuster drugs of Pfizer, etanercept. Then after research, I moved into industry. I was in Sanofi in oncology, worked with drug it calls aflibercept or metastatic colorectal cancer space. And then after working a while in Sanofi, I worked for Pfizer. Then I worked for IQVIA, as a lot of people in our industry knows. It's a big company. I was there in their biotech, helping to find the right partners, investors, and optimize and prioritize their R&D pipeline. And I also was in private equity, M&As, pharma service provider focus at all what I was doing, moving from science to business before started with Bioneex.
Got it. Cool. So now Bioneex is a platform, right? And it's going to bring, really help investors to find, I think, right? Help find some biotech ideas. But first, before we get into that, what gap did you see in the marketplace that you said, I need to create this company?
Yeah, great question, Steve. Thank you. When I was actually in Sanofi, I was in R&D 1 week, and I talked to scientists there really doing early stage science, and I saw like a lot of interesting like discoveries, which in pharma they would like to call programs. And then I saw some of the programs were like marked red, and then I asked, "What's happening, guys? What is this?" They said, "These are actually programs that basically the assets in early stage that management decided do not move forward." And then I said, "Why?" They said, "It's just because there is always budget scarcity. You cannot develop every asset you have in the pipeline. You have to, at the end of the day, decide what to do and which one move forward, which calls in our industry optimization of your pipeline and prioritization." And then I was like curious, what happens with those they actually end up like not moving forward in the pipeline, in the the development. They told me at that time, it was more than 10 years ago. I think it was 12 years ago, something like that. They said it's end up in shelf pretty much. With nowadays we call it shelf drugs. And then I thought, that's interesting. We invested so much, invested so much money, the company, in these assets. It might be interesting to build a platform where you can put it and then other companies will take it and then develop further. So I started to discover this idea a lot, but then I came across one article published, I believe it was Forbes, from former R&D head of Pfizer, John LaMattina. So I reached out to John and I talked to him. So he was very kind to answer all my questions. And then he told me that it's not really so much value into these shelved assets, although they are interesting, but mostly the discovery of novel assets, it comes from early stage biotechs. And then when you look into the data, you see like, in fact, the big pharma companies and mid-sized companies are not really contributing to the global novel drug discovery and development. It comes from the early stage biotechs. And then we thought we need to build a platform where we bring particularly early stage innovative drug development companies to put their assets on our platform, and then help on the other side the mid-sized and larger biopharmas and biotech-focused venture capital firms to search and evaluate these assets on our platform and directly connect with the companies.
That's very cool. So the assets that I'm not asking you how, but somehow you get in touch with the organizations that have decided to, for lack of a better term, leave them, right? Abandon them, I guess, because they see too long of a runway, I assume, for them to make some quick money on it. But the early discovery has already been done. So the molecule or whatever, if you will, is there. They decided for whatever reason not to continue on after they've discovered it.
Yeah, so that's the case of so-called discontinued assets, what you are describing. Basically, they decided to discontinue. It could be like a strategic reason. Again, budget scarcity. It could be like the clinical trial has failed, and some other company will take it and then run a new clinical trial. And nowadays, it's becoming very trendy with AI in the industry, where companies with their AI-powered technology, which they call platform, can run, like, design better clinical trials for the failed assets and run it again. It could be like finding like a more specific patient population with a specific gene mutation that the drug is more responsive, or any other way, having more human and disease data and biological data behind that. But what is actually very interesting, that those companies, early stage biotechs, their business model is not really bring a drug to the market, because bringing a drug to the market, I've worked in big pharma, it's quite difficult, it's quite heavy lifting. You need to have huge marketing and commercialization, market access, like army and power across many countries. And the biotech business model is pretty much discover, develop, and out-license or partner co-development partnerships with comparably bigger companies, mid-sized pharmas, bigger biopharmas. And then in that ecosystem, of course, also comes into play the biotech-focused venture capital firms to provide a capital in the research and development of the drugs.
Very cool. Well, so let me go back to something. You mentioned AI real quickly, and in our last conversation, you talked a lot about that, right? So with your platform, you're using, large language models and AI. Can you expand on that a little bit for our listeners, for our audience?
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. It's amazing, opportunity that tech companies in our space are really leveraging a lot. So, what's happening? The AI is actually itself the large language model, which everyone is almost familiar with, ChatGPT. These are not really databases. What they are reasoning and pattern recognition tools. That means you have to have the right database in order to use this tool, this smart tool, to go into the unstructured data and find like patterns, find what you look for, and then bring it to you in a way you like. So what we do, we have three like main type of data we leverage. The number one is our marketplace data, a proprietary marketplace data that comes directly from drug development companies on our platform. That means that's the most high quality data from primary source. Then we also generate in our platform internal intelligence coming from the user behavior, and it comes also like who is looking what. For example, our platform helps to understand what is actually hot at the moment in the industry, whether it's a small molecules, biologics, gene therapies, this disease area, or other modalities, mechanism of actions, etc. And then on plus of our proprietary marketplace data, we also connect to the major databases such as patent databases, clinical trial databases, scientific publications, and regulatory filings. I'll give you an example. Everyone knows PubMed. It's a scientific publication. It's, however, in the US, or clinicaltrials.gov, right? Or Edgar database for filings, regulatory filings. But there are other major regions. Nowadays, everyone talks in our industry, biotech industry, China. So what are these databases that you have to connect to really access to the information? That's what our platform also does. It connects to Chinese, Japanese, South Korean, and other major regions as well, and it translates into English. So there is another layer in our platform, NLP, natural language processing, which translates into English. And also it brings into one scientific common language, because different databases using different scientific terms about the mechanism of action, or I don't know, any drug classes, etc., and it translates into one language. So that's the secondary package of the database on our platform that LLM goes and looks into. And then it comes the third database. It comes directly from that specific client we work with. So, for example, we work now with a major biopharma company. They have huge internal data, typically coming from their search and evaluation activities, business development licensing activities, or from their due diligence, or from their research and development, R&D. So they bring on top of our data, global patent, scientific data, also their internal data, but it's only accessible and usable for them. No one has access to the data, so no one can go into that data. And then what we do, we have this large language model, which is then underlying reasoning and pattern recognition tool that goes and read this type of buckets data and then try to find really what you're looking for. Whether you look for novel target, or you have a novel target, you look for an asset to apply to the target. So I can talk about LLM more, but I'll stop here and be happy to hear what would be your next question.
Well, so what you're saying is the investor goes in, right, and does this
Yes.
search, right?
Yes, correct.
And the LLM and AI is working on their behalf to curate and put all this data together and then feed it back to them, based on all the different parameters that you just mentioned there. And I'm sure that they have many different search criteria, right, that they can put in and
Yes,
filter
yes.
for in there. Okay. Now, you seem real excited about the LLM and the AI. Is there something deeper that I'm missing there and not understanding? Like, is there more to it than what you just described?
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to tell you that I mean, LLM is quite new, but if you go and talk more people already built some expertise in that space, most of them will tell you that by applying generative AI, like a GPT-5, for example, in specific industry domains, in 95% cases it fails. The reason why it fails, because these LLMs is in fact general AIs. That means there is a tons of bunch of like a site data which is not relevant for your specific domain. For example, we are in a search and evaluation of therapeutic assets. This is very, very specific area, right? But then if you have in this LLM data, I don't know, coming from football, coming from anything else in the world, then in that case, they call it hallucinating. So it gives you something that is not really relevant. And that's one of the reasons that some of the big pharmaceutical companies now took a step back, not using these general LLMs. For example, Pfizer is not using, we're talking with Pfizer, we know, because they started this early days and then they saw it's not really giving good results. So what our solution is, it's highly personalized, so-called super personalized LLM, where typically what you do, you took like a mediocre LLM, for example, GPT-4 or some level of Gemini. It's quite good, but it doesn't have so much data yet inside, like GPT-5. And then you train it on your local GPUs. as everyone talks about NVIDIA, it becomes really hot. So NVIDIA is one of the biggest producer of GPUs. So companies like ours, we build this in-house infrastructure with GPUs, and we're continuing to do this. So then we can take and train the LLM and create it like really, really super personalized, tailored to that client specific needs. And in that case, the outcome, the result is better. And then after it's trained, you can deploy it either on your cloud, like on our cloud as a service provider, or some big pharmaceutical companies, they have high security like clearance, they require to deploy on their own clouds. So that's the difference. Super personalized LLM using trained on specific data sets.
So let's say I get one of these super personalized LLMs and I'm XYZ company, right?
Yeah.
Now it's inside my firewall. It's got to keep, don't we have to keep tweaking that and teaching it and it has to keep learning, or is it learning on the data that I'm pushing through it at that point?
So yeah, it keeps learning. First, it learns from your usage. So every time when you use it, it adapts to your requirements, to your needs. It's imagine like you hired some PhD guy after Harvard graduation, getting a PhD degree, but this guy never worked in the industry, so it's really learning everything fast. Whatever you tell, every day that you give these tasks, it does better job the next day. So that's one of the things they learn and adapt. And then of course, continuously feeding with the data and training. That's what our job is, working with the client very closely. So it's not like we deploy it, we customize and then we go away, but really like client provides constantly new data. We continue to, we call it fine tuning. So we do the constant fine tuning of that LLM, and it's pretty much like imagine you have a nice suit, uh, like you're growing, right? So you are a child, you're growing, and the suit constantly getting like uh, tailored to your body all the time. That's the the beauty of and the magic of the super personalized LLM.
But once I implement this super personalized LLM and I put it inside behind my firewall, you're out of the picture, or do you get involved still?
No, we get still involved. We are there. We are there. We will be always like continuously training this. Yeah, it's like how you do this typically. In a software world nowadays, you do the work and then you deploy it in a cloud. You do the work and deploy. So every time when needs to be again fine tuned, we do it in our local GPUs, and then again it will be deployed and updated. So the software constantly gets updated. The same way like people talk about Tesla, right? So it's a not a car company as they like to tell. It's a software company. It's the
The
thing, right?
software
So
and data company,
software,
yeah.
exactly, that gets updated all the time. That's not how the AI works. It should be all the time, like getting update.
Right, absolutely. So now you had mentioned to me, you mentioned Chinese a minute ago, and that was something that we're getting pretty excited about in the past. Can you explain, what's going on there? Is there something in particular we should know about from your perspective as far as rolling out your product to some Chinese firms?
Yeah, so thank you, Steve. Absolutely, that's a great point. And in the industry nowadays, as data is also showing, there is a significant jump in Chinese biotech space. A lot of like public funding, and now American companies are hunting. We work with large biotech companies, large pharmas. They all are hunting for Chinese innovation, and one of the strength what we have, it's our in-person capabilities. We have on our company board former president of Pfizer China, who spent a lot of time in his life in China, and you can imagine the understanding and network he has. So he helped us a lot to open a lot of doors in a Chinese biotech space. Plus, we actually did from early days quite good already relationship building with Chinese biotech landscape, and we now have that access, plus of course the Chinese databases, which is in their local language, and we always like try to understand better and better what are these public databases that we can connect and identify the novel IPs in China space. So then we go using our network quickly connecting with this company. So if anyone is interested to work to identify Chinese landscape, we can do great job there for both technology perspectives as well as from the business development and human relationship we have built.
The question I would have, right, about the Chinese is, the data, right? Is it coming from them or is it public data? Like, meaning, is it coming specifically from the company or is it already out there public information that you're pulling?
So we have companies on our platform, Chinese companies, they put already their data on our platform. And then, of course, the public domain that comes from their scientific publications, because they have their own PubMed, they have their own IP database, they have their own clinical trials database. So we also leverage that public data to learn more about the landscape.
Got it. Got it. So now, talking about landscape, you went right into where I was going to go next. In the space that you're in, are there a lot of competitors? And if so, how many are in your space, or is this novel? You the first one doing this?
Yeah. So, because the AI is so new, there are not so many companies in our specific domain that are doing it. In terms of the marketplace concept, there are some companies doing this, but we are the most advanced one. But in terms of applying a personalized LLM on a marketplace data plus public data and the client data, we are in that case, in our knowledge, is unique. There is only one company we know so far that they do pretty much the same for asset scouting and due diligence in the industry. However, they do not have a marketplace data. They do not have their own proprietary marketplace data. What they do, they pretty much take the public data and then client data, which is in a way everyone who has the AI knowledge and some experience in the industry can try to do. But to have these three main type of data sets, your own proprietary data, public data, and client data, and applying personalized LLM as an underlying reasoning and pattern recognition tool. In our knowledge, we are the only one at the moment in the industry.
Very cool. And obviously you've run into with the personalized data, right? With my own company's personalized data, you've run into every single security and privacy question you could think of, and I'm sure you absolutely overcame every single one of those from a technology perspective. So I don't even need to get into that, right?
Yeah, so we do have actually very good, like a technical team, very strong, experienced CTO who addressed all these questions. And actually, we have now a very good experience of working a large Australian-based biotech company, where pretty much their requirements are connecting through API to their in-house internal AI. Like search and evaluation and due diligence tool, because there are few companies in our industry, they already start to build their in-house, and pretty much they want to use through one single interface. They don't want to come and log in into our platform, but they through API can connect to our platform. That's also what we provide, and of course it's all in a secure environment with all the requirements that big companies, as we know in our industry, will need it.
Got it. So I guess the main customers for you would be the investors, right? The PE firms and the large pharma companies that would want to buy assets or programs or whatever you want from the smaller research based companies, correct?
So the typical customers are, in fact, yes, big pharma companies and comparably like mid-sized companies. They actively looking to assets in license to do the due diligence work. However, there are also smaller biotechs. I would say okay funded, not super well funded, but still funded biotechs. They do have their in-house asset. They're looking to out-license. What they need to do, they need to do like a competitive analysis to understand like the competitive landscape And that's another reason why they use our platform. They're not particularly looking like to in-license, but they are interested to see what is out there and then really use the AI to understand where their assets stand compared to those they are in that specific, very specific domain. And then, of course, you talk about the investors. Actually, our clients are not the PEs. Most of the cases are VCs, the venture capital, because PEs goes more in a late stage investment, whereas in our industry, it's still like a biotech considered as a risky investment. This is more VC game.
Got it. Cool. That's good. That's good stuff. So, um, I don't know what other questions I really have of this. Is there anything more from, from your platform or your customer base, or, where you've come from and where you're heading to, that you think, my listeners would want to hear about?
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Yeah, I want to talk about the recent like study that we did, a press release, a case study that's really interesting. You ask about the customer base. In fact, this is an emerging biotech coming from Stanford. It's a very prominent professor in neurology. She identified a novel target for major neurodegenerative diseases, and then for applying to the novel target, their team were looking an asset, basically a drug candidate that they can apply that target they have identified. So they use our platform, our AI capabilities, and they identified quite quickly an asset for that novel target. And now they are in a late stage discussion for an in licensing. This is really a success story that I can probably talk about how AI can help a company. Our tool very quickly to identify an asset that you really looking for a specific target. That's yeah, everyone who is interested, the press releases out there can read about that.
Now, so do you guys charge a monthly fee for what you do, or do you get involved with the actual deal?
Yeah, so it depends from which side it is. For those guys, the major biopharmas and VCs, they're looking assets to invest or to in license. We work with them on contractor base. Basically, we have long-term contract where first we deploy the platform fully customized. We do pilot setup for them. They can test up to 3 months because it's something they really need to test, give us feedback, and then we tune it. Our like human activity plus our technology, and then constant work during 3 months. And if they're really satisfied, it meets all their success criteria, we go into like a long-term contract. Typically, it's a 3-year contract. This is how we work with biopharmas and VCs. But for biotechs who are actually out there looking to partner their asset, to out-license their asset, we have an opportunity now on our platform where they can put their information, and if that crystallizes into a deal, someone in-license their assets from our platform, then they only need to pay us a success fee. In that case, there is no any subscription fee, no upfront payment fee for the early stage biotechs, which puts us in a huge a step ahead in a competitive world, because nowadays the industry is really in a tough situation. A lot of biotechs out there looking for capital, and there are a lot of investment bankers, consultants charging like a retainer upfront fee, and then trying to find investors or strategic partners for them. And oftentimes biotechs, they cannot afford it every dollar they counting. So working with us, they don't need to pay any upfront fee, any retainer. It's only success fee based now.
Well, success fee when it's done, when the deal gets done, you get some of it, and that's you know,
Exactly.
yeah, it's already money's already changing hands. It's not like it's like you said, nothing up front. So that's good, cool, good, awesome, like that. Okay, all right.
I wanna highlight once again another part of AI collaboration we just built. It's a company based in California, JTC Health. a really awesome team, a very experienced team. It fits into the concept of our platform, search, evaluation, and due diligence. What they provide drug prediction, risk prediction, which, it's a huge topic for investor, right? So as we know, early stage assets in preclinical stage, they have a like very high failure rate, 80 to 90% failure rate, where they pretty much they can reduce this risk up to 10 to 20% through their huge data, biological data, disease data, etc., to predict whether this preclinical asset can succeed in a clinical stage or not. So we are the first platform in the world that offers that risk predicted assets. Pretty much, really, it gives a huge advantage to investors and strategics. And if anyone interested, we can entertain and talk about that more. I'm happy to also connect with JTC.
That's really cool. I like that. That's nice. I'm sure folks will like that and they'll want to see that, right? So good, good, good. Okay. Well, thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you,
This
Steve.
was great.
Thank you.
I do have one final question that I ask of folks, and it has nothing to do with what we just talked about. But before I do that, just want to make sure that that there's nothing else you want to hit on about your company, about your market space.
Yeah, I think I covered everything I want to say. The only thing I want to tell you why big pharma, biopharma companies should work with us, because it takes a lot of capital in-house to build such a AI power search and evaluation platform. One of the reasons, simple reason that people working in big companies, they are not really entrepreneur in a way that they can implement things quickly, and it's something very new, and we are very experienced. We do it faster and far more cheaper. And I can tell you, one of our current clients, they were working 9 months, and they didn't even have a minimum viable product to do a demo, where we jumped in, and within just 2 months we built and we deployed, and we give them like a really great opportunity.
I talk to my podcast. I have all these CIOs on from the small and large biotechs, right? Um, Technology is only part of it. You can create the mousetrap, right? You can create the technology, but if you don't have the data, you're in trouble. You solve the data problem too. You got 3 different sources of data coming into this
Yes,
thing.
exactly.
So that's huge. I mean, that's where the rubber meets the road. I mean, I can build whatever I want. I can build the Ferrari. I can build the Camaro, whatever I'm building, right?
Mm.
But if I don't have anything to put through the engine, I don't have any gasoline, it's going to sit there. It's going to look great. It's going to sit there and not do anything for me, right? So you solve that
Exactly.
problem too, which is awesome, you know? So my final question that I ask of every guest, and if you watch any of my podcasts all the way to the end, you would have seen this, but maybe you haven't. Um, I'm a fan of music, especially live music. So I go to see concerts and things like that. So what I like to ask folks is, from if they've gone to concerts, which I don't know that most folks haven't gone to concerts, what would you say in your lifetime was your favorite concert or live band that you've ever seen? If you've seen some, any thoughts there?
Yeah, very interesting question.
Right?
uh, I can tell you, like, I like all types of music. I love music from 80s. I'm a big fan of Elvis. I like 90s. Big fan of Michael Jackson and Tina Turner. But I also living in Berlin. As everyone knows, Berlin is the hub of the techno music. It's the best techno music. So I have been in some like clubs in Berlin, live techno music created like really world famous DJs, and I can tell you that's one of the best. And then another best music that I enjoyed most, very randomly. 2 years ago, I was in New York, which is, by the way, after Berlin, my next favorite city. I love New York. It's such amazing culture and vibe. And I was walking in Brooklyn, and came across during the day an amazing techno music, as I appreciate that as an art. That was probably one of the best I enjoy so far. Techno music created by a New York DJ.
Yeah, yeah. I both my daughters, um, whenever they travel, whenever they go anywhere, they were in Japan earlier this year. They were in Spain 2 years ago, and they go to the electron EDM concerts. You know, they love the stuff. You know, all New York City. They live in New York City, so they go to those things, and they just love them, love them, love them. You know, and for me, I don't have a discerning ear for that, right? But all the different DJs do all this different stuff, and they go and see some of these real famous DJs, the big ones, and I wouldn't know who they are, but yeah, they love it, and they record it, they take some pictures and show me. I'm like, that's cool, Yeah, it seems pretty
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that
I
stuff
mean,
goes all
if
night.
you work with the technology and the generation of technology, you also appreciate the music generated created by technology plus human. That's what I think always, from professional as also from the personal perspectives, that what makes us nowadays really powerful and interesting, the technology plus human factor, whether it's in biotech industry or in music industry.
Right. Agreed. Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah, the intersection of humans and technology. That's what this is all
yeah,
about, right? So,
yeah,
well, listen,
yeah.
I appreciate your time, Simbat. This was great.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you,
you know,
Steve.
and we'll have your contact information on here. So if anybody wants to reach out to you and your website, BioNex, they can reach out to you there as well.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you, Steve. And you do great shows. I wanna tell everyone, to watch Steve's interviews, and if anyone is interested to talk about their stuff, reach out to Steve. Really, really exciting interviews and shows that Steve doing. Thank you
I
very much,
try.
Steve.
Well, I try and hit every angle I can. Right. When you and I
Yeah.
first spoke, I thought that it was going to be a great thing. Because it's a whole new approach to something, to a problem that's out there. So it's all good. Well, so I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.